Last week, we began a mini-series on 5 love languages. And as we did, I invited my wife to come up and join me with that. I'll do that again. As I introduced her, for those of you who weren't here last week, and I said a few things about her, such as she's just a great woman of God who's walked with the Lord more years than I have. She knows the Lord well. She was trained under some of the best theologians and professors at Bethany University. She got a degree in intercultural relations, which is the equivalent of getting a degree in missions. She's an accomplished author, a great wife, a great mother, and a great woman of God. And then I realized, it dawned on me, you think I should know, it dawned on me that words of affirmation are one of her love languages. So I think as I introduced her, I might have scored a couple of points, I'm not sure. But all those things I say, again, ditto. Would you come on up, Holly? And would you welcome Holly to join me again for this series? Last week as we began this series, we noted that in all the Bible, there are, Jesus boils it down to 2 great commandments. And in these 2 great commandments, Jesus said that we are called to love God and to love our neighbor as well. So both of these 2 great commandments, both have to do with love. The challenge is that we tend to speak different love languages. And you might be telling your spouse that you love them in your native love language, but they might speak a different love language and they might not be getting the message.
The good news is that we can learn all 5 of these love languages. It just takes a little awareness and a little effort.
Last week we talked about the first of 5 love languages, which, as I mentioned, is words of affirmation. As we did, we looked at some practical ways that we can express words of affirmation, like compliments, giving each other compliments.
And encouraging words that build people up and give them, courage.
We talked about kind words, which have everything to do with tone and intonation. It's the manner in which you say things.
And we talked about humble words. And that means to request things of your loved one, not demanding them.
Now, if you missed the message last week, that's okay. You can catch it on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and search First Assembly of God at Fairfield, and you can find our church there. Maybe you can subscribe to our channel, and you'll get a notice about every Sunday afternoon or so saying the new sermon is up on the site. So you can go ahead and watch the first one there.
And today we're going to be talking about 2 more love languages. The first is quality time.
Let's say that one together. Ready? Quality time. Yes.
Ecclesiastes says there's a time for everything, including a time to love. For some people, the best way to express love is through quality time spent together.
Now remember, the Bible says that we are to love one another. We are to love one another. Jesus said that. Here's what he said. He said, love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. Last week we talked about how Jesus loved us, and we gave a definition of that by saying love is the accurate estimate and adequate supply of another person's needs. And Holly pointed out how Jesus accurately estimated that we needed salvation, and he adequately supplied that salvation, that process, by going to the cross for us. So if your spouse has a need for love, and that need, her love language is quality time, then in order for you to love her is to assess that need. What is the need? It's quality time, and then meet that need by spending that quality time with your spouse.
Now, if your spouse's love language is quality time, and your love language is words of affirmation, you may give lots of words of affirmation. Just be really affirming. Go for it, you can do it, you really are doing great at this, and saying all these wonderful things, but that person might not feel loved if their love language is quality time. So by quality time, we mean giving our undivided attention to someone. In this day and age of many screens, we have a hard time with that, don't we? I know I do sometimes.
No, I don't at all.
But
Maybe a little.
When we say quality time, that means undivided attention. That doesn't mean sitting on the couch together watching Netflix or Hulu.
Wait, that means we can't, we're going to watch Chuck or a superhero movie? That doesn't count as quality time?
No.
But we're together.
But your attention...
2 hours! I don't get credit for that?
Your attention is not on your loved one when you're sitting together watching a DVD. it's on the show.
Quality time can be sitting on the couch, but with the television off. Quality time is devices off, put away, giving each other your undivided attention. You're focused upon the other. It could be going for a walk. It could be even going out to dinner, but if you go out to dinner, leave the devices away. Do your best not to bring them with you if you can. I know it's hard, leaving the car or something like that. You're counting this as quality time. Just do your best to ignore them and don't sit there and text or check your messages throughout the dinner. It's you two talking, enjoying each other's company as you spend time together or as you spend quality time together.
And you even now have to turn that screen. Where did we go to one restaurant that they had a screen right there in front of you, even if you
order
had
on the menu, you know what I mean?
You have to turn it around.
Because I get distracted even by that. Ooh, look, it's a commercial right on my table, a video screen.
That's what we need, more commercials. So this quality time doesn't mean you have to sit there and spend time just gazing into each other's eyes.
Remember how we were married and what you said to me? Remember what you said to me when we were first married?
I can see myself in your eyes.
That's what she said. We're looking at each other like this, and then she goes, I can see myself in your eyes. Well, the preacher's going on, and do you take this husband? She said, I can see myself in your eyes. I know, isn't that cute?
So,
but it doesn't have to be that.
No, it doesn't have to be that. But you do need to give your attention to your loved one. In fact, a practical way to give that is focused attention.
Why don't you say that again in case anybody wasn't really focusing that moment?
Okay, the first practical way to speak in the language of quality time is focused attention.
Just so we're clear, I was actually focused. That was just in case anybody out there might have missed it or anybody who was watching on YouTube. Okay.
So if quality time is your love language, it's not enough to be in the same room with someone. You need focused attention. Now, if you're dating someone, it's easy to give focused attention. It just comes naturally. Maybe you go out somewhere and it's like the people around you don't matter, the clock doesn't matter, it doesn't matter what time you get out. I can remember not knowing what the curfew was at Bethany College. They actually had a curfew, I don't know, maybe 3 a.m. or something. But I didn't know what the curfew was until we started dating. At some point we realized, maybe we should figure out what that curfew was because we got to get back at it. Because you just want to spend all your time together. You don't want to ever be apart. You could go out to eat and the restaurant kitchen could be on fire and you might not even notice.
When you're dating.
But you get married and husband and wife sometimes forget a little bit of that.
That's when we notice the kitchen on fire.
Yeah, you see a little bit more. And you notice how the person behind you is eating. But sometimes husbands and wives think they're spending time together when all they're really doing is living in close proximity.
A husband who texts or watches the game while his wife is trying to talk is really not focused upon his wife. Sorry, guys. But it's the truth. You're not focused on your wife if you're texting or you're watching the game or the computer screen.
And a wife who Facebooks or plays Candy Crush while her husband is talking is not focusing her attention on him. Or perhaps a mom or dad who are checking the emails while their son or daughter is talking to them, or someone's talking to you and that phone gets pulled out. That's not focused attention.
Focused attention means that we are doing something that allows us, to focus primarily upon the other person, not something else, no distractions. That allows us to connect emotionally with the other person, which is extremely important, especially if your spouse's love language is quality time. They really want you to connect with them during that, and so if you focus your attention, their emotional tank is filled.
Another way to spend quality time together is through quality conversation. This is perhaps most important and most common way to express love, the love language of quality time.
I always enjoy going for road trips with Holly, because whenever we're on the road, we're forced to have quality time together. It's just us in the car. There aren't really so many distractions. And so we get a chance to have these wonderful conversations Just this last week, we went down to pick up our son David from college and brought him back from San Luis Obispo, Cal Poly. So welcome back, David. But it afforded us time to talk and communicate on the way down there and some on the way back. It just gives you an opportunity for quality time and quality conversation.
So quality conversation is two individuals sharing their experiences, their thoughts, feelings, and desires in a friendly, uninterrupted conversation. And now if this is your spouse's love language, your loved one's love language, it's crucial that you learn it because it meets their emotional need for love.
Now, if you were here last week, you might recall that we talked about words of affirmation. So you're speaking words of affirmation. This is different. Conversation is different than just giving words of affirmation. Here's how. If Holly's love language is words of affirmation, she's very focused, which it is, she's very focused upon what I'm saying because anytime I give her a word of affirmation, it just builds her up and it fills her love tank. Now, if her love language is quality time, that's different. If her love language is quality time, then I need to be focused upon what she's saying so she knows that I'm listening to her because that's the conversation. If she's talking to me and I'm doing this, I'm not listening, she's not getting that quality conversation. So that's how it's different. I'm focusing upon her by listening. The Bible says something about listening too, doesn't it? In the first chapter of James, the Bible says everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and certainly slow to become angry.
I think you should repeat that.
Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and which part did you want me to repeat? The anger part or the slow to speak? Okay. And slow to become angry. Sure, she wants to hear about my experiences. I know she does. And she wants to hear about my feelings and my thoughts. But if her love language is quality time, then I need to be a good listener. I need to listen to her and ask questions that draw out some of the feelings and the thought that she has. I have to draw those out of her with good questions. Now, let me say something, men, especially men. I want you to listen to this. One of the things that you could do to listen to her as she shares her thoughts and problems is make an effort not to fix or solve any problem that she's got. Now, here's the deal. Guys, we like to fix things, right? We like, that's why we got these little tire gauges, because we want to know, if there's a problem, we want to be able to fix it. We like to fix things. And when somebody comes to you, especially if it's your spouse or a female friend who comes to you, and she's got problems, she's sharing those problems, resist the temptation to fix the problem. She wants you to listen to her. She wants you to hear her feelings and her thoughts on this. Even if she seems to suggest she's looking for a solution to the problem, she's more interested in knowing that you can relate to her feelings and validate her feelings than she is in knowing what the great solution is to this problem. Don't interrupt her and solve the problem just so you can get back to the game. Oh, that would be bad. Do not do that so you can get back to the game, the TV program, whatever. But give her your attention and listen to her.
So we want to give you 4 practical steps to being a good listener so you can have quality conversations or improve the quality of your conversations. Number 1 is eye contact. Okay? Again, you can't say it enough, that whole looking down at the phone thing. It's not giving that eye contact. We need to look them in the eye to be able to really make people feel like we're really hearing them.
Number 2 is don't multitask. Now, I know a lot of you folks think you're great multitaskers. I hate to burst your bubble, but the reality is you're not. You're not really multitasking. Studies have shown that when people are multitasking, what they're really doing is they're dividing their attention between 2 different things, and they're actually less productive than if they just did one and then the other. So you might think you're a great multitasker, but I'm sorry, you're probably not. So if you're listening to your loved one, don't try to multitask by listening to them and doing something else at the same time. Focus upon them. Don't let your attention be divided.
Not even folding laundry? Okay.
Not even folding laundry.
Eye contact. You can have conversations while you fold laundry, but that's not your quality time. Okay? Don't multitask. Listen for feelings and validate them. It sounds like you're feeling really frustrated or neglected, or I'm hearing that you're really worried about that, wow, it sounds like you're really proud of that accomplishment.
Number 4 is refuse to interrupt. This is more challenging for some of us than others. Do you know how long the average person listens before they interrupt the conversation? 17 seconds.
17 seconds?
That was about 12. You didn't get to 17. The average person listens for about 17 seconds before they interrupt. Let me tell you this. If your loved one's love language is quality time, you need to give them more than 17 seconds of your attention to truly be listening. So refuse to interrupt.
17 seconds doesn't sound very long, but if you're just listening and you got something to say, that can be a long time. So don't interrupt. As important as listening is in a conversation, we also need to be able to talk. If a wife says, my husband never talks, she doesn't mean that he literally never talks, but she means that he never shares his thoughts or feelings. And she needs to hear those things if her love language is quality time. She wants you to know, so learn to communicate what you're thinking and feeling. Now, the challenge is some people grow up and they actually don't learn how to identify their feelings. Perhaps they just never learned to do that, or they grew up and when they shared their feelings, they were put down in some way or reprimanded, and they just learned to not share those feelings. And so some people may be coming from a place like that, and if that's the case, there's something you can do to kind of get in touch with your feelings. It sounds all mushy, but I think it really helps to be able to do that. Is in every day, take 3 events throughout the day and think, what did I feel when that happened? When the door slammed on my foot, or when I got that great letter in the mail, or whatever happened. Think of 3 events and some kind of feeling associated with them. And just, write it down at the end of the day. Okay, this event, kind of this feeling. This event, felt really, really great when that happened. I felt like incredibly upset when that happened. That door hurt my foot. Maybe it was the sister-in-law's cat who bit my ankle, and I was really frustrated with that. And but that can really help you to develop a habit of recognizing your thoughts and feelings, and then you can be more able to share those.
And you'd be surprised. Some people really have no idea how to express their feelings. And that might be, if that's you, you're not alone. Your sister at one point had difficulty in even identifying her feelings. Isn't that right?
Oh, when my sister was in high school, she was at the high school counselor, and he asked her, well, how are you feeling? And she just went, I don't understand the question. She literally did not know.
She grew up with 2 parents who were scientists. It was all about facts, not feelings.
And she just had never learned to do that. And her I think she was going to some kind of financial advisor, and they asked her how she felt about investing, and she got up and she left. I don't feel about investing. I look at data.
So that might be you, and if that's you, then practice those ways of identifying your feelings. Okay, another way that we can spend quality time together is simply through quality activities. We've talked about focused attention. We've talked about quality conversation. A third way is through quality activities. This is simply doing stuff together. Now guys, we like this. We like doing stuff together. So if you get to spend quality time with your spouse doing something, that's going to be fantastic. Guys like it because we like shared experiences. It's something fun to say, we did that together. We went fishing together. We went on that hike together. We conquered this together. We enjoy doing things together. Women enjoy it because you're doing something with them and it communicates that you care about them very much. You're spending that time with them. Now, I know what some of you guys are thinking. You're probably thinking, that means Netflix is back on the menu, right? Because it's spending time doing something, right? I asked Holly about this. She said no. So apparently it's not on the menu. Because these activities need to be more active and less passive. Again, you're focusing upon the show rather than your spouse. But if you're doing a hike together, it's a great opportunity for conversations. if you're doing gardening together, you're working towards the same goal and you're talking as you do it. You're interacting with one another and you have a shared experience. A gardening and a hike is a shared experience. Watching a movie barely qualifies as a shared experience. It's not quite the same thing.
When we were younger. When we were younger, one of our first dates was at Old Sacramento. And we were walking along, you know, there's all these different shops there. We're looking at some, and then we just kind of walk by others. And as we're walking by this used bookstore, we both simultaneously look at the store and start walking in. We were both walking in at the same time. We're like, oh good, he's walking in. Oh good, she's walking in too. And we just enjoyed spending time perusing this old bookstore, and it was fun. And nowadays we might, you know, take a walk around the block, or when we're going to pick up our son in San Luis Obispo, stop by the beach, and we roasted hot dogs on an open fire there in the beach.
I roasted myself on the beach.
Yeah.
Don't forget your sunscreen, folks.
But it was a shared experience.
I know what some of you folks are thinking, this whole idea of quality time. You're probably wondering, how in the world are we going to find time for that? I understand we have busy schedules, and you're thinking, wow, going for that walk, or going for that long drive, or whatever it is, how am I going to find time for that? I have good news for you. The answer is very simple. You might want to write this down. Here's the answer. Make time. That's it. Make time. The same way you make time for lunch and dinner, because food is essential for life, you make time for conversation and quality activities, because if it's your spouse's love language, it's essential for your marriage. So you simply make time. Calendar, you're smart people. I know you can do this. You calendar in all kinds of stuff in those calendars. Calendar in quality time together. We're going to do this just to make sure that it happens. Okay, so far we've talked about, this morning we've talked about quality time. Another love language is receiving gifts. Receiving gifts.
Now, I remember a gift that I got from Eric.
Was that the bread maker I got you for Christmas?
No, that was a good one.
That was a good one.
But it was, when we were first dating, actually it was before we were dating, he was my secret brother in college, and he sent me on this treasure hunt in the library, and he made all these little cards and stuck them in various books, and I had to go all over to hunt for them, and at the end there was this little box behind the book, and I would open it up and found a pair of earrings.
They were inexpensive college student budget earrings, but it was a gift.
And another time he sent a card through someone else and had a rose with it, and it said, don't hold this rose too close, lest its beauty pale in comparison to yours.
Yeah, I know.
Soon after that, we started dating.
Yeah, that cinched the deal. I think we started dating right after that one. Probably one of the best things I ever wrote. Did you know that gift giving is a part of the love and marriage process in virtually every culture? Almost all cultures give gifts as a part of the expression of love and courtship. It's a universal expression of love. In the 24th chapter of Genesis, there's a great story which illustrates this gift giving through the expression of love and the courtship of marriage. Abraham was getting along in years, and he wanted to make sure that his son Isaac would find a wife. But he wanted to make sure that the wife didn't come from the land where they were living, but that his wife came from their hometown. And so what Isaac did is he sent his servant, what Abraham did, he sent his servant, I want you to go to my hometown and find a wife for my son Isaac, and I want you to bring her back here. So the servant went off to Abraham and Isaac's hometown. And as he got there, he prayed, how am I going to find the right person for my master's son? So he said, Lord, would you just please reveal to me the right person? And not long after that, a young lady by the name of Rebecca came along. And God showed the servant, this is the right one. And so what the servant did is he gave her a gift on behalf of Isaac. He gave her 4.5 ounces of gold jewelry. Now, you may not know what the cost of that is. I did a little bit of research. That's nearly $6,000 in gold jewelry. That's a lot. That's a lot more than those little earrings cost I bought you back in college. I can tell you that. $6,000 worth of gold. Well, not surprisingly, the family said, "Why don't you come on back to our house for dinner?" The servant's giving away $6,000 in gold jewelry. We want to have this guy over for dinner. And so the servant came over for dinner. And at the house, the servant told a story. So look, I'm from a far-off land. I'm a servant of Abraham. I've been sent to find a wife for his son Isaac. We're from this town. We're from this neighborhood. And he sent me to send a wife. And I prayed God would reveal to me the right person. And just when I prayed, Rebecca came and God showed me she was the right one. And the Bible says this: "Then the servant brought out gold and silver jewelry and articles of clothing and gave them to Rebekah." They weren't from the servant. They were on behalf of Isaac, who she was going to be marrying. And he also gave costly gifts to her brother and to her mother. Well, the family recognized that this was God working and leading in this. And so they allowed Rebekah to go back to the land where Abraham was staying, and she became Isaac's wife. Now, if gift giving works in the process of courtship, if me giving Holly earrings and a rose works in the courtship process and the whole beginning of love, then why not continue that sort of expression of love throughout the marriage? Why not continue? Especially if your spouse's love language is receiving gifts.
Now you may be thinking, $6,000 in jewelry? That was just like the beginning. You know, he gave more after that. We can't afford that, but that's okay.
I'm so glad you said that's okay.
You don't have to spend $6,000 in jewelry.
Thank you. Can you say that again, please? I just
have,
want it for the record.
You don't have to spend $6,000 in jewelry.
Okay, okay.
It's not about the cost, it's the thought that counts. Gifts are a reminder of love. A gift is something you can hold in your hand and say, "Look, he was thinking of me," or "I was on her mind, she remembered me." The gift is a symbol of that thought of love.
Some of you may have heard this story, but I remember when I was a young boy, I had a paper route, back when kids did papers and delivered papers. And as I was going out my paper route, my friend was with me, and his name was Terry. He also had a paper route, and it must have been a weekend, because it was early in the morning on probably a Saturday or a Sunday, and we had delivered our papers, and we were empty paper bags, and we were heading back. And on our way back, we rode our bikes behind the old Safeway. And it was still open at that time, and we rode behind Safeway, and because we were kids and we were bored, and we saw dumpsters there, we decided to see what was in the dumpsters. So we went dumpster diving. Sure, we just jumped in there. Hey, what's in here? We looked around and see what the store had been throwing away. I recommend you not jump in a grocery store dumpster. There are other dumpsters that are better to jump into if you're going to do dumpster diving. But in this particular one, we saw that there were some flowers there. I guess they come from the florist, the flower department there at Safeway.
Florist.
Yeah, I should be better versed at that, shouldn't I? Okay. So he found these flowers. Now they were a little on the wilted side. They weren't good enough to sell, and so the store had thrown them away. Well, Terry pulled them out, and he goes, "Hey, these don't look so bad. My mom likes flowers." So he stuck them in his little bag where he had papers, and we rode our bikes home. When we got home, we went to Terry's house, and we found his parents early in the morning. They were having breakfast together, and Terry said, "Oh, Mom, I got you some flowers." And he held these flowers out for her. Now, Terry was kind of a rough kid. He wasn't the best example in the neighborhood of the ideal son. And so for him to bring out flowers was extremely touching for his mom. You should have seen her just, "Oh, Terry, you brought me flowers." And she starts to cry. She's like, "They're just flowers, Mom. Goodness. And the dad's like, "Good job, son. Way to go, son. Way to go, son." I'm like, wow, ding. The light goes on in my head. Flowers are important. Okay. In that moment, he was able to express to his mom love by saying, "You know what? I was thinking about you, Mom. I was just thinking about you." Didn't cost him a dime. It was garbage. Didn't cost him a dime, but he was able to express to his mom that he was thinking about her. It was a reminder of love. Gifts are a reminder of love.
Now, if your spouse's love language is receiving gifts, the best investment you can make is giving a gift. Remember I said it's not about the cost, but it's the thought that counts. Well, the only thing is if you make a six-figure salary, flowers from the dumpster probably aren't going to cut it. You probably need to go a little bit higher than that. But Sandra gives an amen there. But people tend to look at money in one of two different ways. Some of us view ourselves as major purchasing agents. Do we have any major purchasing agents out there? We feel good about ourselves when we spend money. You know, even if the money's low, we like to spend that money. We like to go get something. Or if you feel depressed, sometimes you just need to go shopping.
Others of us are savers or investors. And we feel best about ourselves when we're saving money, when we're investing that money wisely. We like to watch the savings account grow and grow, and we're quite content to deprive ourselves of things and avoid spending money just so we can watch that account go up instead of going down. It makes us feel good when that account goes up because we're savers or investors.
Now, if you are a spender, you have no problem spending money and giving someone a gift. That's easy for you. It comes naturally. But if you're a saver, it can be a little bit more difficult.
It can be a lot more difficult.
Yeah. Now I'm a saver, so I get this. I feel your pain. But if your spouse's love language is receiving gifts, it's something that you're going to need to learn to do. So let me put it like this for you. When you save, you're investing in your own emotional love bank.
Because I feel good when I save.
Exactly.
So investing in my own, I like that. Okay.
Yeah. But when you buy your spouse a gift, you're investing in their emotional love bank.
So it's a different kind of investment.
It's still investing. Okay, there's still a return on your yield. There's a return on your investment.
Can I get that in writing?
But so don't stress over your savings. If you're a saver, you'll make sure there is money there, and it'll still be there. But to invest in your marriage is a sure thing. Okay, it's like, you know, investing in blue chip stocks. It's sure it's the best investment that you're going to make.
So far, we've covered 3 of the 5 love languages in this series. We talked about words of affirmation last week. And this morning, we've talked about spending quality time and also receiving gifts. It's important to know which love language your spouse has or your loved one has. This applies to children, to friends, to brothers and sisters, to relatives, to people that you want to express love to. You need to understand their love language if we are to love one another well. If words of affirmation is the person you wish to express love to, if that's their love language, then quality time is not going to cut it necessarily. You might be spending that quality time. You might even buy them gifts, but they're dying, they're starving to hear you give them words of affirmation. Or if their love language is receiving gifts, and you're spending lots of quality time, and you're building up all kinds of encouraging words, but you haven't given them anything at all, not even an encouraging note of any kind in a long time, they might be starved for love. So it's important to identify what their love language is. We have 2 more to go. We're going to cover those next week as we wrap up the series. So be sure to be here for that and don't miss it. Also because, as mentioned earlier, we have a special business meeting. So if you remember, we really need to be here for that. Let me just close with this thought. I'm going to invite the worship team to come up, and we're going to close. I invite you to stand as we prepare to close out in this final song.